and welcome back to the Bottom Bins and to a very special video here regarding Liverpool and how Liverpool got on at the weekend. So, game week 1 has been and gone. Folks, we also have a new guest host that is making his first appearance on YouTube today, and that is Stevie Kennedy. Stevie, how is the form, mate?
Form's grand, Richie, so it is. Form's great, thanks for asking.
Not a bother at all. Not a bother at all, lads. Not a bother at all. So, Stevie, as many of you know, and you will have seen him over our socials in the past couple of weeks, Stevie's come on with us now, and he is a massive Liverpool fan. So, no better person to talk to about Liverpool than Stevie. So, Stevie, Liverpool obviously picking up their first victory of the season against newly promoted Ipswich at the weekend, away from home. Oran first game in charge of Liverpool. So, overall thoughts, Stevie, how are you feeling? Were you happy with the obviously you're happy with the result? Were you happy with the performance? What did you think?
I'm happy with it, Richie, to be honest. From what I watched, obviously a good result, but they beat Ipswich. But Ipswich put up a good fight the whole game, and they just switched off for 5 minutes, and Liverpool had 2 killing blows and put the game to bed. From watching it, everyone can tell by looking at it, Arne Slot's managing a Jurgen Klopp team. He hasn't put his own stamp on it yet. There's still a couple of weeks left of the window to do so. But it's so far a full Jurgen Klopp team he has with his own tactics. So from watching it, the principle's the exact same as before. There's no drastic change there. The only change is in terms of the way he sets up. So he uses the 4-2-3-1, and he made Szoboszlai the number 10, which was the key figure, in that Liverpool attack. And then he played Gravenberch and McAllister as a double pivot. And Gravenberch, for me, Richie, he had his best game in a Liverpool shirt since he signed, to be honest. He played fantastic. Altogether, right, it was again Ipswich, and I know it's not going to all come off like that when they come up again. Manchester United, Manchester City, Arsenal, Villa for top 4, So Ipswich, I will say, gave them a bit of breathing room in midfield. Trent played unreal, and he sort of still maintained the hybrid role. Gravenberch was your no-nonsense 6, but he could also have the freedom to roam up the pitch. He wasn't given a role that, right, you have to sit and stay sitting. McAllister was the same, up and down, up and down, up and down, just done a bit of everything. Diaz on the left, missed the chance. You shouldn't have took it over the keeper. Should have just buried it. Mo Salah, me and you had this conversation down the street the other night. He's not going to slow down at 32 years of age. And Jota, Jota playing as a number 9 now. No false 9, no dropping in the midfield, getting the ball. It's getting the ball to Jota and he'll score type of thing. The first half was a bit, Ipswich gave it their all. At home, first game back to the Premiership at home. Of course, they're going to come out in all cylinders and they put up a good fight first half. And then at half time, Slot took off Kwanzaa. And he came out publicly then and said Kwanzaa didn't win any duels. He took him off for Kanate. And look, it paid off. You're not going to diss the change. Because I know that's been a hot topic now in the past 36 hours, has been him calling out Kwanzaa because he's a young player. Which I think was alright, because it's a young player. Had it been a senior player, Richie, he wouldn't have got away with calling out a senior player. So I think that's just giving the Kwanzaa the hit to the rib or kick up the hole, like, look, you can do better type of thing. It wasn't malicious or anything. But yeah, I thought, it's good. Looks promising for the season. And let's just hope that we can kick on from there and get another 3 points now next week.
And I think you've said it perfectly there, Stevie. First half and second half, it was, so often we say, it was a game of 2 halves, but this game really was.
It
was a game. Ipswich in the first half came out very, very strong. I was actually very impressed with the way they had set up and what they were doing. They were very aggressive in their press towards Liverpool. You could see that, their midfielders were sort of tucking on to try and stop Trent from inverting, and it did work in the first half. But, Trent is a player of such quality that if you do give him a second, he finds that penetrating pass. And I mean, that the ball that he played to Mo Salah, like even and credit to Salah's run as well, the way he
Yeah,
gets sort of in behind the fullback. It's very difficult to do that there as a forward, and obviously to pick out a pass like that is very difficult to do as well. But Stevie, Liverpool did start to exert their authority on the game really in
yeah,
the second half, and it's like you said, sort of a period of 5 minutes where Ipswich sort of showed a lapse in concentration that you would maybe get away with in the Championship.
yeah.
You don't necessarily get
Don't
away
get
with
away
in the
with it.
Premiership.
No.
Yeah. So overall, then, Stevie, look, Liverpool come out. The second half performance is much like the Liverpool that we know.
Mm-hmm.
Is this maybe what you're expecting from Liverpool for the next couple of weeks, Stevie, where maybe they go through patches of possibly not playing their best football, but then we all know, yes, look, they can come alive at other stages in the game?
I think so, Richie, and we got that. We got a taste of that last season. Last season with Liverpool, it was always first half bit poor, not to the power that everyone expects. Maybe even 1-0 down, and then at half time it just clicks and they go on and demolish teams 4-1, 5-1. It's so I think we could get a bit of that. But I think look, next week's at Anfield. It'll be his first game at Anfield. I think they should put a stamp on it and maybe not lose. I don't think they will lose their concentration first. They never really do first game of the season at Anfield. It's always from minute one they'll go at it. But look, I said before the season started, I don't have high hopes for Liverpool this season. Top four, I'm happy, and I'll be really happy with. I wasn't one for running around saying we're going to win the league, we're going to win the country, but like I had done 2 years ago, and maybe last season because Klopp was going to leave, But but look, I think top four, yeah, and if they get, I don't know, an FA Cup or maybe even give the Champions League a go, look, I'm happy enough, because it's his first season. Give him a bit of time. The squad Klopp left him's been pristine condition, but obviously no one's going to pick up a team like that and click away and win something So give him time, and hopefully the best is yet to come. Still,
Yeah, and listening to you, Stevie, is quite refreshing because sometimes when you see things on social media from fan bases,
yeah,
you're like, "Well, Jesus, like chill out, like
get that out.
temper the
Yeah,
expectations." So
exactly.
it's nice to hear that from you. You're not expecting Liverpool to win the league or anything this season. Because there are and it's the same with every fan base. Like me and Oran joke about every year. Well,
Yeah,
Oran jokes about every year that
yeah,
United will win the
yeah.
league. Like,
Eh,
and it is not going to happen in
it's
the
no, it's
slightest.
not. But
But Stevie, Orange Slot has come in, right?
yep.
So far, what you would say is, and judging on the pre-season and what he's done there in the first game, he really does seem to have a good grasp of the squad. He seems to have a good bit
Mm-hmm.
of authority over the squad,
Yeah.
as you mentioned with the Kwanzaa, with taking Kwanzaa off. Now, to be completely honest with you, I would be in agreement with you, Stevie. I don't think that's that much of an issue.
No.
If a player isn't performing, their manager is more than entitled to take them off and replace them with somebody else.
Exactly. Yes.
you know. But I did read an article in the Athletic, Stevie, that talked about the relationship between Kanate and Orange Slot. And apparently there was a bit of tension on pre-season, and it has carried over into the start of the season. And reportedly, that was why Kanate didn't start. Was
Start.
there is a bit of tension between those two? Is that something that you hope gets resolved sooner rather than later?
I think it does, Richie, but I think it's already been resolved. The fact that Slot turned to Kanate at half time and said, right, get your kid on, you're going. And Kanate went out and steadied the ship again, didn't put a foot wrong at all. So I think already that's probably already smoothed over. What Liverpool, especially with the group of players that's there was never any tensions boiled over and feuds going on for months, not like you would get at any other club. So I think the players are well maintained mentally as well, and that's been great from them, from Jurgen Klopp. So I think they wouldn't think, right, there's a new lad in the building, I'm going to do whatever I want here. So I think that's already been smoothed over with Kanate, but I did read another article that apparently Joe Gomez is looking a way out of the club. I wouldn't be letting Joe Gomez go at all. He's the longest serving player at the club right now. He's going into his 10th year, or his ninth year. He'll be going into his 10th year next season. I'd keep a hold of him because you need bodies at the back. Yes, Kwanzaa's had an uprise, last season, and he was fantastic, one of the best young players about last season. But I would keep Joe Gomez because you need that extra body. Liverpool have been here before, Richie, where they went into a season with three centre backs. The wheels came off in October the minute Van Dijk got tore his ACL against Everton.
Yeah,
you were
yeah,
down then, and the wheels came off. So I'd be keeping Joe Gomez, and because you can trust him. If you're like, right, I'm throwing you in here, and he'll go out and play. He'll do what he's told, and he'll do what you want of him. So no, I'd keep a hold of him, and hopefully whatever's going on between them two gets molded over and straightened out really quick too. So do.
yeah. No, look, I understand that as well, Stevie. Again, I share the same views as you. When it comes to defensive injuries, I've seen enough of it at United too, especially last season. Where we were stripped to the bare bone. So I understand your sentiment. But Stevie, look, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask. And there is a narrative sort of thrown around in the media at the minute. Does this result against Ipswich paper over the cracks of what's currently happening at Liverpool? They had re-signed a lot of their old sort of hierarchy and guys who were very successful in the transfer market. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I personally felt, Stevie, and like I had said this to
Yeah.
you in the group chat, I personally felt like they left Zubimendi too late. And
Mm-hmm.
then when your manager's first major target, that it's been apparent that that's the one he wants, when it falls through, to me it was like it was a bad sign. It was a sign then, you know are Liverpool as ambitious as they really should be? Why aren't they going all out in the transfer market? Surely, if they don't get Zubimendi, there has to be at least another 1 to 2 targets that they can then move on to. But like I said, Stevie, I'd be remiss if it wasn't to ask, what's your take on the transfer market? Surely Liverpool have to get some sort of business done for their new manager.
They do, Richie, but sorry, they do. But what I would say is, I don't think Liverpool are in a need after watching the game against Ipswich. Granted, it's against Ipswich, no harm. They do need more bodies in midfield, and I'd say get a left-sided centre back. Um, Anything else? No. They don't need a new forward. They don't need anything like that. You've got 5 world-class attackers sitting there at Slot's disposal. So when I'm midfielder, but it wouldn't be one. So if Mendy's a kick to the teeth, like past couple of weeks, it was. I'm not gonna just sit here and be like, we'll get over. But Liverpool never dwell on it at the same time. They never be like, oh, we missed out on him. That's gonna you know fix our season. That's gonna shape our season. We missed out on him. We're gonna play badly. I don't think they're in the need to splash cash and get your A-lister in holding midfield. With Liverpool, it was always about having bodies rather than one or two main men. It was always about having bodies, and it's the same again. So they've got bodies in midfield at the minute, but they need to add another one because Thiago's obviously left, and you need to replace that body. Um, so I don't know who they're actively looking at, to be honest. But whoever they do get, I hope it's not 60 million. They don't need to be firing 60 million quid at players. Pick one up, 25, 30 million. You just need a body. Someone that's going to do a good job because the squad's always going to be rotating. Like I said, Gravenberg played well. He played really well with a double pivot with McAllister. I'd say going up against big teams, he'd probably be playing them too. But then you've got Stefan Bajcetic there, you've got Wataru Endo sitting there as two players to sit in that double pivot. And then you look at the number 10, you've got Szoboszlai, Harvey Elliott. Gakpo can play as a number 10, but I think Gakpo will be playing at the left wing, he said before the season started. So they just need another body for the double pivot because at the minute you've got 4 there. Adding a fifth just for injury purposes and depth purposes, yeah, go for it. On the left sided centre back, again, would be the same principle, Richie. Don't go and spend 50, 60, 70 million in one. You've got 4 quality ones there. Just go and pick up another one, just as a safekeeping, for a rainy day type of thing. They don't need to go out and spend big money on superstars. The team's filled with them. So yeah, I get what you're saying. It doesn't really paint over the cracks as such, and Liverpool have been a bit iffy in the transfer market considering Michael Edwards has came back to the club and he's appointed Richard Hughes as his head of football. So look, something will come, and I said to you, they've left it too late at the same time. But also, if they can get away with getting someone at a lower price, 30 million, 35 million at the very maximum, I don't think it'll be too much of a problem. Considering you're constantly rotating, you can get away with signing someone, sitting them out for a few weeks, letting them get the burn of the group and of the team, and then throw them in and they can kick on. Because Klopp always done that for years. and he signed them all early on in the summer, but he'd still sit them out the first 3-4 weeks of the season, and then he'd bring them in once they got the bearings of the intensity of the Premiership. But yeah, I think that answers your question. Yeah, there's stuff needs done, but Liverpool don't need to spend big money. And Michael Edwards is back, and Richie Michael Edwards never ever hit the panic button at Liverpool. It was always, you'd hear Liverpool are interested in someone, and a day later, bang, they've signed him or they've reached an agreement. It was always done within 2 days. There was no lingering on for months, like it has been the past 18 months. With the Jude Bellingham situation that lingered on. Wouldn't pay out another 5 million for him to come. And then Madrid came in, and he went to Madrid. So stuff like that. The Caicedo one was just a panic. Everyone knew that was going to be a panic, and that never happened under Edwards. He'd always be like, right, this is who we're going to get. Don't make it public. We'll go and get him at our own pace, and bang, it's done. So I have all faith. Since they brought him back, Edwards is no dummy, and he's appointed Richard Hughes as his sporting director. So don't know much about Richard Hughes. No, he's done a fantastic job at Bournemouth. But look, if Edwards trusts him, then there's no need to panic. We've been here before. I can also understand that at the start of the summer they were getting Slot's backroom team in. John Heighton came back to Liverpool on the red side of Liverpool this time rather than the blue side as one of Slot's assistants. So that took a bit of time getting coaches in, because it wasn't just Klopp that left Richie. It was his assistants. It was also backroom team, physios and goalkeeping coaches. They need to get all that in, and that took its time. But surely they should have done something maybe the first week when they were in the States. Get someone in and fly them out. But I think one or two signings, but not much money to be spent. I don't think Liverpool would be like Chelsea and blowing money left, right, and centre. But look, if it'll happen, it'll happen. And if not, look, we'll just ride it out. And maybe Slot might use some of the young players again, like last season. I know Bobby Clark's away to Salzburg for 10 million quid now. That'll be a huge miss, because I thought Bobby Clark's another one who had spells last season and thought he was going to have another wee breakout again this season, but obviously not. Plus, you can use Trent in midfield if he wants to play Conor Bradley. He brought Conor Bradley back on Saturday for the last 15 minutes or so. So there is options to get around it if he wanted to, but the advisable thing is go into the window and hope for the best and get the recruitment right.
Yeah, no, look, I do understand where you're coming from. Like, we all know Liverpool do have a fantastic squad, but as a supporter, I think you always want to see at least one new
Yeah.
face come in through the door. It's always exciting when you sign a new player. And I do think Liverpool have been crying out for a six ever since Fabinho left, and
Yeah.
that is an area of the pitch they do need to address. And I'm in agreement with you there as well, Stevie. I don't think it would do them any harm just to have another body at centre back as well, because the minute you start creeping up with injuries, then you're in trouble then. And it's like you said, you don't want the wheels to fall off in October. That's what you don't want to happen, especially not in a manager's first season. But look, just one more question, Stevie, before we wrap this video up, and it's literally just about your expectations for the season. Then I know you've already said, look, probably not going to win the league, but what is it that you want to see this season, Stevie? Is it just that the manager comes in, establishes himself, establishes the brand of football, or do you think Liverpool do have a realistic opportunity of possibly winning a trophy this season?
I think it's a bit of both of what you've just said. There's a realistic possibility of, say, winning the FA Cup, or because they're back in the Champions League. Liverpool, old history with the European Cup. Give it a go. There's no harm in doing it. You're back there, compete, go for it. They've got the squad to do it. The league, top four. I wouldn't be crying out here saying we have to challenge this season. It's his first season. He's inherited a great squad. All you can hope for is top four. You wouldn't want to put too much pressure on him. Let him come in, get his bearings with the league, the way England's based, because you've got 4 competitions to play for rather than 3. So come in, let him establish himself. The brand of football, it's the same principles as Jurgen Klopp, but it's just set up a bit differently. That's it. So it's not too much of a drastic change for the team. I think they'll not compete with City or Arsenal this season. I think them two are it going again for the title for the 3rd year in a row. With them two. But yeah, FA Cup, League Cup, one of the two. If they win one of them, it'll be I'd count that as a success for Slot. Give the Champions League a proper go. You're there to compete. That was the target last season to get Champions League football back, and then they went on the run, and then the target changed to go for the league. But they're back to the Champions League, which was the initial target. So just give it a lash and give it a go. I'd rather them give it a go and say get beat in the semi final rather than get knocked out in the group stage. Anyone would say that. So give the Champions League a go. Pick up an FA Cup if they can, and get top four. That's all I would ask as an honest Liverpool fan. None of this gonna win the quadruple or gonna win the league or none of that carry on. But yeah, that would be me, Richie. Just top four, maybe a domestic cup, and give the Champions League a proper go. But
Yeah,
yeah,
to be honest with you, Stevie, like I said earlier, I think that's a sensible way to look at it. To be fair, manager's first season, and it's always going to be tough, to ask a
yeah,
manager to come in his first season and try and start competing for Premier League titles. That's very very difficult to do.
yeah.
But look, Stevie, I think that's going to do it for this episode. Folks, thank you very much for watching, and we hope you enjoyed this wee breakdown of Liverpool coming from an actual Liverpool supporter rather than a Man United one. But please head over to our socials, give us a follow on all of them, and as always, thank you for watching and keep it bottom bent.
Keep it bottom bins.